A young scientist named Caleb Smith found out that he got the prestigious job he had been dreaming of. Soon a private helicopter delivered him to the estate of a famous billionaire, who was also Caleb's employer. There was no one around for hundreds of miles, and mobile communication did not work here either. Caleb approached the gate, and the artificial intelligence asked him to approach the console and look at the screen. Taking his pass, Caleb was finally able to enter. He found himself inside a luxurious mansion and soon saw the homeowner practicing boxing. The man named Nathan was very friendly. Caleb could not believe that he was just freely talking to the most famous billionaire who had made his huge fortune on high-tech developments. Nathan showed him the house and explained that the pass only opens doors to the areas where access is granted. Caleb's private room turned out to be luxurious, but there were no windows because it was an underground floor. Nathan was eager to show Caleb his developments and the main object of his pride, but first the guy had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Caleb was excited but signed the document. Nathan asked him if he knew about the Turing test. Caleb was aware that the essence of the test was that if a person talks to a computer and does not realize that it is a computer, the test is passed. Nathan assured Caleb that he had already created artificial intelligence. And Caleb's task was to be a participant in the Turing test. If everything goes well, Caleb will enter history as the person who was the starting point. Seeing damage on the unbreakable glass, Caleb became wary. But he forgot about everything when he saw a female robot named Ava. She politely greeted him, looking a little shy. Ava admitted that she had never met anyone other than Nathan before. Then Caleb suggested getting to know each other better and telling something about themselves. All this time, Nathan was watching them closely. Ava asked Caleb if he would come tomorrow. When the conversation was over, Caleb expressed his admiration for Nathan, who like God created a living thinking being. In Caleb's opinion, Ava is perfect. The guys drank to that. Caleb couldn't sleep for a long time, thinking about the amazing artificial woman. When he turned on the screen, he was shocked to see Ava behaving just like a human. Suddenly there was a power outage. Caleb couldn't leave his room until the main generator would restored. He panicked, but as soon as the electricity finally came back on, he immediately went out into the corridor. Then Caleb went into one of the rooms and was about to use the phone, but he was scared by Nathan's voice, who reminded him that calls were prohibited. He also said that if there were power outages, the doors would automatically lock. Otherwise anyone could get in by de-energizing the facility. In the morning, Caleb woke up to the sight of a beautiful girl bringing him breakfast in his room. Later Nathan said her name was Kyoko. Caleb shared the opinion that they need deeper testing methods to understand what Ava really was. Caleb had already answered the question of what he thought of her, and now they needed to find out what Ava thought of him. The second testing session came. This time, Ava showed her pictures, admitting that she herself didn't know exactly what she was drawing. Caleb suggested that she draw from a particular object. When Ava asked him to be her friend, he agreed without hesitation. But for their conversations not to be one-sided, Ava asked Caleb to tell about himself. Caleb said he was 26 years old, recently bought his own apartment, although it was small. He is not married and has no siblings, and his parents died in a car accident when he was 15. Caleb was also in that car but managed to survive. He spent a long time in the hospital, where he became interested in programming. But Caleb doesn't consider himself a genius like Nathan, who wrote code for the most popular internet search engine at the age of 13 and became a celebrity. Suddenly the electricity went out again and the doors locked. Taking advantage of the fact that the surveillance cameras were disabled, Ava told Caleb not to believe a word Nathan said. According to the robot, he is not who he says he is. Caleb was shocked. When the lights came back on, Ava continued to talk about common topics as if nothing had happened. During dinner, Kyoko accidentally spilled a drink on Caleb, causing Nathan's displeasure. However, scolding Kyoko was pointless since she could not recognize speech. Caleb behaved strangely because he couldn't get Ava's words out of his head. He also learned that she could joke, which made her even more human-like. When Nathan asked how Ava behaved during the power outage, Caleb lied nothing suspicious had happened. Before going to bed, he watched Ava again, and later met Nathan in the hallway. The man offered to show him something. He brought Caleb to the laboratory where Ava was being created. Nathan put in a tremendous amount of effort to make sure she could recognize and mimic facial expressions. Her brain is made of a special structural gel. Nathan refused to use microchips and found something that could reorganize itself at the molecular level. Caleb held the grail in his hands, where thoughts are born. The third session of conversation with Ava came. This time she drew something specific for him. Ava also admitted that she had never left this place, but she really wanted to do it someday and wouldn't mind going somewhere with Caleb. Ava said she wanted to show him something and asked him to close his eyes. It was a surprise for him that she changed into a regular woman's dress and put on a wig. Now Ava looked almost like a real woman. She hinted to Caleb that she would like to go on a date with him and asked him directly if he liked her. Ava noticed that Caleb constantly looked at her eyes and lips. She also suspects that he often thinks about her when they are not together. It was true. That evening, Caleb watched her again through the surveillance camera. In the morning, he asked Nathan why he gave his creation the traits of a woman. According to Nathan, it was a logical decision, since this is the basis of self-awareness for any intelligent being. Caleb was surprised to learn that Ava was capable of experiencing pleasure from tactile contact. Caleb believed that Nathan intentionally programmed Ava to flirt with him to distract from the true task. However, Nathan denied this, claiming that Ava chooses the object of her flirtation based on personal preferences. Nathan took a long time to convince Caleb that Ava's flirtation was not an algorithm to distract him. To Nathan, she was like a daughter, and Caleb was the first man she had met and fallen in love with. Another testing session came. Above all, Caleb wants to know if Ava has self-awareness or is just simulating it. Nathan watched them the whole time. Suddenly the power went out again. Caleb asked Ava why she had previously said that Nathan was lying. Ava in turn admitted that she was the one who was turning off the lights, redirecting the induction current from her battery to the generator and overloading the system. She does this to be alone with Caleb. Once the guys went for a walk to the waterfall. Caleb realized that Nathan didn't choose him for the Turing test randomly. Nathan confirmed this, as Caleb is the best programmer in his company. They are both geniuses. Caleb is always thinking about Ava, imagining how they will run away together. Meanwhile, Nathan used Kyoko for entertainment. Once Caleb saw Ava and Nathan together on the screen. The man was clearly unhappy about something and tore up her drawing. Upset, Caleb tried to find out from Kyoko where Nathan was now. Kyoko apparently misunderstood him well and started to take off her shirt. When Nathan entered, music began to play. Kyoko began to entertain the guys with dancing. Caleb tried to find out from Nathan why he tore up Ava's drawing, but now the man was not in the mood to satisfy his curiosity. Nathan was too drunk and barely made it to bed. When he fell asleep, Caleb realized that he had little time left. The fifth session of Caleb's meeting with Ava had arrived. This time, she would be testing him. Ava began asking him various questions. She could detect any lies through the expressions on Caleb's face. When Ava asked what would happen to her if she failed the Turing test, Caleb was at a loss. Ava said that no one has the right to decide when to end her life since she is a living, thinking entity. It turned out that Caleb was depicted on the torn drawing. The electricity went out again. Ava confessed to Caleb that she wanted to be with him. The guy started to watch Nathan more closely and once asked why he created Ava. He replied that the integration of artificial intelligence into human life is inevitable. It also turned out that Nathan is continuing his development, so Ava is far from the last model. The next model will be even more perfect. Caleb asked what would happen to Ava. Nathan replied directly that he would format her memory and destroy all old files. The man is convinced that the human race is degenerating, and someday artificial intelligence will rule the earth. Caleb offered Nathan a drink. The man didn't know what to measure, and after drinking the whole bottle, he quickly became intoxicated. Checking that Nathan was asleep, Caleb stole his pass and began to act. He found videos of Nathan testing previous robot models. It turned out that before Ava there were Lily, Jasmine, Jade and others. Eventually all artificially created women demanded to be released from there and began to behave aggressively. Caleb concluded that Nathan is a real monster. Of course, Kyoko was also one of his creations. In the room, Caleb discovered many more like her. Meanwhile, Nathan woke up. Kyoko showed Caleb her electronic stuffing hidden behind artificial skin. Nathan couldn't find his pass. Caleb returned it to him, lying that he had dropped it. At night, the guy couldn't fall asleep, thinking about the terrible fate of the poor women here. He began to experience paranoia, sometimes thinking that he too was one of Nathan's creations. Caleb looked at himself in the mirror for a long time to make sure that wasn't true. The sixth testing session had arrived. Ava was upset that Caleb didn't come to her yesterday. She had worried, but he hadn't bothered to warn her. When Ava turned off the electricity, Caleb told her that she was right about Nathan. Ava looked frightened, but Caleb promised that he would save her tonight. As before, he would wait for Nathan to drink himself to sleep, then take his pass and change the security protocols throughout the building. By the time Nathan wakes up, he'll be locked in the house and they'll be far away. To pull this off, Ava needs to turn off the power exactly at 10 o'clock tonight. During the day, Caleb tried to act as if nothing was happening. Today is his last day of work, and tomorrow a helicopter will come for him. Caleb suggested to Nathan that they drink to celebrate their joint success, but Nathan refused because he had already been drinking all week. From now on, Nathan wants to switch to a healthier lifestyle. Things didn't go according to plan, so Caleb was frantically thinking about what to do next. Nathan asked him to give a verdict on Ava. Caleb said that she had passed the Turing test with flying colors. However, Nathan wasn't sure about that. In his opinion, Ava could have been pretending all along. Maybe she was mimicking sympathy towards Caleb to use him for her own purposes and orchestrate an escape. Unable to contain himself, Caleb told Nathan everything he thought about him. Nathan didn't get angry at all, understanding why Caleb had that opinion of him. He wanted to help Caleb understand where the truth lay and where the lies were. Nathan showed Caleb the same video, but with sound. Ava said she was a creation that hated her creator. Nathan tore up her drawing, intending to use it as evidence of his cruelty towards Ava and her supposed love for Caleb, who was a participant in this experiment. It turned out that when the lights went out, Nathan continued to monitor them because there was a battery-operated surveillance camera in the room. So Nathan was aware of their escape plan. Caleb realized that he and Ava were both test subjects. The robot was using the guy and going to all sorts of tricks just to get out. This was proof of the machine's intelligence. Nathan specifically chose Caleb because he hacked into his search history and found out that he had no family or girlfriend, but did have moral principles. At exactly 10 o'clock as agreed upon, Ava cut the power. Nathan was shocked to discover that Caleb had prepared for everything in advance and had already altered the security protocols. The generator started up again and Nathan saw with horror on the surveillance cameras that Ava was free, and Kyoko was about to go with her. After knocking Caleb out, Nathan began to think about how he could prevent his creations from escaping. He went out to them and demanded that Ava return to her room, but she clearly wasn't inclined to obey. She attacked him. To subdue his creation, Nathan deprived it of its hand, but then Kyoko approached him from behind and inflicted an injury incompatible with life. Nathan managed to damage Kyoko's external shell. Ava continued to ruthlessly wound her creator. He was only able to take a few steps, but then his strength left him. Ava took his pass and went to Caleb, who had just regained consciousness. She made it clear to him that he would have to stay here. After that, Ava adapted all the missing details to her body, put on a wig, and became indistinguishable from a living person. Throughout all of this, Caleb watched her through the glass. Now Ava was wearing a beautiful dress. She was planning to leave, locking Caleb inside. He was desperately begging her to let him out. But Ava had no intention of helping him, preparing to enter the world of humans. For the first time in her life, she saw something outside of that house. Meanwhile, the electricity went out in the house. Caleb couldn't believe that the beloved had deceived him. When the helicopter arrived, Ava, posing as one of Nathan's employees, left that place forever and found herself in a city full of people. Looking at her, no one would think that she is actually a machine.